And joining us right now to talk just a little bit about that, but more importantly about himself, is Peter Kalpouzos, and he is the District Referee Coordinator of York Region Soccer Association. Peter, welcome, my friend.
Good evening. How are you?
I couldn't be better, and I'm great to have you on our show, Red Card. And as I said, Peter, I've been involved 35 plus years, and I called this show that I started 3 years ago Red Card for the simple reason that it's almost like oil and vinegar, salt and pepper when it comes to me and the refs. But I got to tell you, Saturday to me, watching you ref this quarterfinal Ontario Cup game was a work of art. The way that you communicated with players, coaches, and parents, and the way you handled a certain specific situation was outstanding. Before we get to that, let's get to some of the simple questions that we want to get out of the way, and then we'll get back to this one. Why did you get involved in refereeing, Peter? And at what age did you start?
Soccer has been a passion for me all my life. Actually, hockey and soccer have both been a passion for me all my life. I played the game as a teen. I grew up loving the sport, not only watching but playing. And I got to tell you, I guess life itself stopped me from carrying on a little bit farther. I had a little bit of taste in the old National Soccer League. I had a tryout with Panhellenic. So it continued my passion on for that. Injuries sort of ended my career, as you want to call it, in soccer.
Boy, oh boy, Peter, you talk about Panhellenic. That brings up so many memories for myself. As a young boy going to watch Toronto, Italia play, and the Serbian team, and you name it. That was some good action back then, my friend.
That was great soccer. Old Lamport Stadium, they'd pack in 10,000 people for those games. It was fun, and it was fantastic soccer to watch.
Absolutely. Peter, let's talk about where you learned how to communicate with players and coaches and parents, because you did it marvelously on Saturday, which I saw. And I got to tell you, Peter, here, we tell it the way it is on Red Card. We don't sugarcoat it. We just tell it the way it should be told. And for me, I've said this to many referees and many coaches and parents. I wish more referees didn't have a chip on their shoulder and would talk to players and coaches and players like they would like to be talked to. And that's how you did that Saturday. Where did you learn that?
Oh, thank you, anyways. Thank you. It was actually it was a fun game with the minor issues that we dealt with. And I got to put it down to my life skills to that. I am a police officer with York Regional Police, so using the communication skills there and working in different capacities with York Regional Police, I guess the communication just came naturally as a referee, is all I can tell you. And actually just trying to get people to calm down is the first thing that we always try to do. And it is a learned skill, and it's a difficult skill for some people to master.
Right, but you're giving, from what I noticed, Peter, you're giving answers when they are asking questions, whether it's coaches or players, whether they like it or not, you're giving an answer to their question. And I think too many times referees don't address that. And I think that's what puts more gasoline onto the fire.
That is correct in part. I think a simple answer sometimes, for example, when a player asks how much time left, just a simple answer, there's 10 minutes. Some referees don't like to do that. We are trying to steer them towards the communication with the players, and I have to credit the Ontario Soccer Association with their development programs now at the grassroots levels for referees, and with their programs they're doing with referees. Communication is becoming a bigger part of instruction to referees.
Peter, I've said this to my two young boys. One is a little bit older now. I would never, ever want them to become referees because of the abuse, because of the backlash they get, and it's just not worth it for the peanuts they make. What advice, Peter, would you like to give the young referees that want to get into this, we call it a profession, because it is a profession that might be one day wanting to ref at MLS or at the national level, University Collegiate, Ontario Cups. What advice would you want to give to them?
The best advice I can give to referees, especially the young ones, is don't get into debate with a player or with parents or coaches. It's a debate that you cannot win. Referees, as a referee, we really don't care who wins the game. That's not our job. Our job is to enforce the laws of the game. Once you get into a debate with somebody that's an emotional state and only sees one side of it, it's a debate that you cannot win. So it's just, we ask them to stay calm, listen to them, basically tell them, I understand your point of view, but this is what I saw, and let's get the game going.
How important is it, Peter, before you ref any game, but especially some high-stakes games, whether it's Ontario Cup action, a big tournament game, you name it, that all the areas are checked of the field, that all the points you want to make to your coaches are brought out before the game starts? How important is that is all taken care of beforehand so that there is no confusion?
100%. I agree with that. That's what we instruct the referees. That's what they should do. That's why they're supposed to arrive 30 to 45 minutes before a game so they can inspect the field, inspect the balls, inspect the nets, talk to the coaches, let the coaches know this is how I referee, this is my style. And also talk to your assistant referees so you get the pregame instructions so all three of you as a team are on the same page.
Peter, for the most part, I see that I would say at least 3/4 of the refs in Ontario over my years that I've watched and seen are in good shape. But unfortunately, 1/4 of them are not in good shape. And I'm the last one to speak about that because I've got a few spare tires in my belly as well. But when you're a referee and you're getting paid even peanuts, I believe you need to be in tip-top shape to keep up with the play. You were keeping up with the play. How important is it that, we weed out the ones that are not in shape and keeping up? Because then if they're not keeping up, that's where I see that we end up with issues and problems, that coaches get upset that they might miss a play and so on and so on. Your thoughts?
We are, and I give credit again to the Ontario Soccer Association, we are moving towards fitness standards for all levels of referee that was implemented this year for district-level referees, that they have to pass a certain level to maintain to coach certain level games. To be honest with you, we honestly don't have enough referees to cover all our games. And that is a fact that we are working on and trying to resolve that issue. For the most part, you're correct. Most of our referees do keep in somewhat shape and keep in up to the game. We're working on all of them, and it's a work in progress.
And so why, in your mind, what have you heard there out in the street? What have you heard in the referees community that there isn't enough referees to go around, that there's not a lot of younger referees wanting to take up this passion that you have? Why is it that they don't want to? Is the number one reason abuse? What is it?
That is the million-dollar question. We run a tremendous amount of programs and instructional every spring. A lot of referees, especially our younger ones, do it just, summer job, make some money, save up for school and university. Some do it for the passion, and unfortunately, they do lose interest, whether it is the parents, whether it is the players, whether it is trying to keep up with all the fitness and the laws and the instruction. I really don't have an answer for you. I do know that we are putting grassroots programs in for referees to get them at the youngest level possible and help guide them, mentor them, and help them get over that little hump so they do stay in the sport.
Peter, what has been a personal highlight of yours? Is there a final that you won't forget that you really enjoyed? Is there a game that really is going to go down right up until now as the highlight of your refereeing career so far?
I have to tell you, and I don't know if you remember, do you remember Rainbow Creek Park?
Oh, of course, yes.
The beautiful grass field with the stands there. Woodbridge Strikers used to play there every Sunday afternoon. And when I started refereeing and I attained a provincial level, I refereed a quarterfinal Ontario Cup game. It was Woodbridge versus Whistler, and it was about 33 degrees that day, Sunday afternoon. It was probably one of the greatest games I've ever refereed. Woodbridge went down 4-0 in the first half, came back and tied it, and won it in extra time 5-4. There was 9 goals in that game, the hottest day of the year, and I didn't even feel tired. It was such a pleasure doing that game. It was a great game.
And that's fantastic to hear, Peter. That's what you want to hear. Peter, what advice do you want to give to the coaches and the players? You've played the game. You understand the game. You ref it now. You understand emotions are high. The stakes are high. But unfortunately, I've said this many times, Peters, I think too many coaches want to win too many $2 medals and $2 trophies instead of developing players. That's a story for another day. But what advice do you want to give to these coaches and these players to really try and keep it in check? Because again, you're human. You make mistakes. I make mistakes on air here. We all make mistakes. And they take it, I think, sometimes over the line. What do you want to say to them?
I agree with you there on that point. You have to understand, we just watched the World Cup and we saw the best of the best making mistakes. And here we have teenagers. We can't expect these teenagers to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. We have to accept that. Players make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and it's part of the game. And the advice I can best give to coaches, and parents included, and players is, as a referee, we are not emotionally involved in the game. We're not supposed to care who wins the game. That's our job. We don't take sides. Just relax, enjoy the game, have some fun. Mistakes are going to be made. If most referees will acknowledge that, yeah, you know what, maybe I missed that one. Just relax, enjoy the game.
I got to tell you, Peter, we'll let you go in a minute or two here. We really appreciate your time, but you've got some real thick skin. After what I witnessed and what I heard on Saturday, I've never, ever in my wildest nightmares ever would have thought that I would have heard language like that, abuse like that hurled at a human being, let alone a referee, that like I heard on Saturday. It was unbelievable. I felt my stomach churning, and at that point, my wife was in the stands. I was watching the game by a pole there, and I just wanted the game to end. Win or lose, I could care less who would have won that game at that point, but I really felt for you. I felt for both kids on both teams and both coaches, and the way you handle it was absolutely like a work of art. But my question is this, Peter, because I would have kicked that parent out long, long before that. When is enough when it comes to whether a coach or a parent that crosses that line? When is enough? Is it that swearing? Is it maybe a throwing of a bottle? When is enough in your mind to get them out?
Probably every situation is a little bit different. If there are threats made, then of course we have to do something. Anytime a threat is made, we must step in. That situation Sunday that happened, yeah, there was the two parents that were a little bit out of control. But keeping in mind that the game is for the players, I did not want to ruin the game for the players. I felt by having the coach, and I had the coach involved, removing the parent that was a problem from his team, let the kids continue and play the game. The kids were not a problem. The kids were fantastic. Most parents, except for two out of all those parents, were fantastic. So it was dealt with, and every situation is different. In that situation, removing the problem solved everything. And in a different situation, I may have to take a different tactic.
You know, Peter, on a closing note, and I'll leave you with this, and I mentioned it to some of the powers that be at the province and at the national level, that I wish there was a video guy there taping the whole game. And the way you handled that, I would have sent that situation out to each and every young aspiring referee, or even the referee that's been in the game 5-10 years, and show them how you handled that situation, how to handle delicate situations like that, because that was textbook. And I thank you for doing that. But not only, I thank you for giving back to the game, Peter, because a lot of times, you know, we don't thank the refs. We just pile on top of them all the mistakes. And I'm the first one to do that. And unfortunately, it's not right, because you know what? They're human like us. And again, they make mistakes. Peter, we'll close it out with this. In your career as a player, as a referee, I'm sure there's people been in your life that have really stuck by you through thick and thin when, you know, maybe things haven't gone your way. Who do you want to thank along the way? Has there been a sibling? Has there been, a former coach, a referee that's helped you along the way? Who do you want to thank?
You know what? I started out refereeing in Toronto, and I moved to the York Region branch. So I really have to thank all the old members of the York Region branch for providing me with the game and the guidance to move up to the provincial level as a referee, and then eventually into the as a district referee coordinator. People like Norm Offield, Tony Braganza. We just inducted Bob Marquis into the York Hall of Fame. People that have been around that game forever, that have guided me, and I took their principles and moved it forward and tried to make it follow their footsteps and try to make it even better than it already is.
Peter Kalpouzos, you're a class act. Continued great work that you're